So we're going to start, guys, by talking about NBA valuations because, Chuck, as you know, Mike's been at the office crunching the numbers 24 hours a day, right? What'd you find in the NBA?
Well, the NBA is doing great. You know, the average team is now worth $634 million, 24% more than last year. And I think the most impressive thing when you look at the league right now is almost every team is making money. The average operating profit for the league was $24 million. That's by far the most since we've been tracking NBA finances. The Bobcats even made a profit. The Bucks, another low-revenue NBA team, they've been looking to raise money. I'm wondering what you think, given the new collective bargaining agreement and the increase in the amount of money. I think for the current season, there's going to be around $200 million that's going to be shifted from the high-revenue teams to the low-revenue teams. That's about $40 million more than 3 years ago. What type of impact is that going to have on the Bucks? You know, what do you think that team could be valued at?
So when you take a team like Milwaukee, which typically is at the bottom of the rankings in terms of value, and have a possible liquidity event with Senator Cole talking about selling the team, bringing on Greenberg, Steve Greenberg at Allen & Co. to do so, you know, to have imagined 2 years ago that it could possibly fetch a number starting with a 400 million plus would have been unimaginable. I think today, despite how difficult Milwaukee is as a market and the fact that, you know, the league has basically given them until 17 to straighten out their arena situation, which is currently, you know, not compliant with NBA rules, I think, you know, you may have somebody coming in at north of $400 million.
And you still have, though, the local media rights and the stadiums in the big markets really creating a big separation in value, though. You look at the Knicks at $1.4 billion, the most valuable team. They've spent about $1 billion renovating MSG over the last 3 years. Another advantage of that is they get to deduct every year a portion of that expenditure on the Garden from what they'd have to share with the other lower revenue NBA teams, which is one of the reasons why the Knicks are the most profitable team. And, of course, the Lakers with that new cable deal with Time Warner Cable, $122 million last season, by far more than any team in the NBA. Speaking of cash flow, what about the league's international prospects? NBA China, we know in 2007, when they were raising money, the league was raising money to start it, was valued at $2.4 billion. I don't think it's quite worth that today, but is the league bringing in money from China, or is Europe a better area for the NBA? How do you see it?
And Mike, that's a great question. I think China's difficult to parse. So while I agree with you that they got a great valuation when they went out with NBA China, I think what they're finding is the sledding is a little tougher than they expected in China. The facilities are antiquated. A lot of the best Chinese players are coming to play either in Europe or in the U.S. I think that there are a tremendous number of fans in China, and I think what they bank on in China is Chinese fans watching U.S. basketball. So they've done a deal recently with Sino, which is both an internet as well as a distribution site on other mediums. They reach a tremendous number of people. They have a tremendous number of Chinese fans watching NBA basketball. I think Europe, truthfully, will happen much sooner, if you will, in terms of a team playing there than China will. And as Adam Silver said recently, you know, Europe is the next frontier. The Hawks and the Nets sold out O2 in 4 hours, okay? Sir Paul McCartney, other royalty were there. The game gathered rave reviews, great television audience. And Adam Silver said at the press conference, he said, you know, it started with the NBA Global Games. They were exhibition games, morphed into 2 games a season. I suspect that increases. And Adam said, you know, I don't see one team here. I see, you know, a division here, 6 teams. They'll go to the big cities, London, Munich, Paris, and some of the others, and set up a whole division there. I frankly, and I may be wrong, see that happening much sooner than I see sort of actual NBA teams playing in China.